Our first presenter is in the person of Dr. Stephen Nwolley. He is the CEO of Npontu Technologies and also the chair of ICT Sector Association of Ghana Industries, AGI. And he'll be speaking to us on reimagining the education to work pathway, a call for bold partnerships between industry, academia, and as well the government. And he's a seasoned executive with over 20 years of experience in digital transformation, AI, and big data across sectors including education, healthcare, and finance. Without wasting much time, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Dr. Stephen Nwolley as he comes to take us through the session.
Good afternoon. I know we're tired, so I'll try to be brief. I have our mentor seated here. Doc, thank you very much. So as he's seated, I don't know whether I should be able to continue or he should take the mic and continue. So he's our mentor and everything. So I'd also want to thank Prof. Chair, who personally invited me to lead this session. And I sit on the same board with him as he's our chairman. So I want to thank him very much for inviting me for this session. So if my slides can go on. So I've been asked to speak about reimagining education to work. So I wanted to reframe that. And I will be speaking that in different category, from a different category. I like to be practical. So in being practical, I would want to demonstrate why I feel I'll be able to say what I have to say. So maybe we'll go to the next slide. And okay, so I wear 3 hats, and I'm also a professor in Nashville University. I'm in the computer science department as an adjunct, and I've been there for 9 years now. And recently, we had to build a new curriculum in intelligence systems, combining cybersecurity, software development, and artificial intelligence. So I was the main person interviewed for that program from an industry perspective. So it makes sense for me to be part of this conversation. And on the second hat I wear is a company that I run called Npontu Technologies. And it will surprise you to know that we built the first AI platform before ChatGPT. And we have YouTube link to demonstrate all these things. And we have democratized that in a form that understands the African context from the way we think culturally, religiously, communally, and all that. So that's the second part. And I have a team of young people who work there. I'm the oldest in the organization. When you come to the organization, very young people doing marvelous things, trying to transform some of the sectors, which I'll demonstrate some of the sectors that we have transformed in our own small way. And also, on the far left from where I stand, I'm also at AGI, Association of Ghana Industry, where I'm the sector chair for the ICT sector. And that's what we've been doing. And everybody knows what AGI. We try to put pressure on government, advocating for policy and all that. So these are the 3 ways. So wearing these hats, it would influence the conversation that we are having today. Education to work, how does it play? So this is where our office is. So those of you who know Chado very well, we have a very beautiful edifice in Chado, where most people get surprised to see that this is what we're doing. A lot of young people working there trying to be able to make the world a better place. So that's what we've been doing. We focus on 4 areas of our organization: artificial intelligence and big data. We also build software development. We also do value-added service and consultancy for this organization. We are certified from an ISO perspective for continuity and security and all that. So that's that. We have also geographical location. We are in UK, in India, in Netherlands, in Nigeria, and also now recently going in Benin and Cote d'Ivoire. So that's how we are represented geographically. So this is what we have been doing for the past 9 years at Npontu. So we have transformed various sectors, right? From industry to government to private sector. We have built technologies for these organizations, and that's what we're doing. So you can go to the next slide. And we've also worked with different banks. Almost all the banks are our clients. So when you do most of the transaction, there's a high probability that that transaction will pass through my system. And that's what we've been working on for the past time. So I will not bore you with all that. One of the things that we take pride with is to digitalize the Liberian economy, utilizing like the Ghana.gov, a version of Ghana.gov. We are the ones who have digitalized that. Now, in talking about this, so we are looking at industry, we are looking at government, and we are looking at academia. That was a topic that we were asked to talk about. And when we look at industry, we need to look at the revolution that has happened throughout the ecosystem. So pre-first revolution, that was our Greek age. So anyone who is stronger than any other person is the one who is fit to be able to do all this job, trying to be able to use strength to be able to work. So it was purely on hard labor. And now technology came a bit, that was where the first revolution came about. And with the first revolution, we are looking at how the labor laws that came about, how to make sure that it influences the way we work. But we're still talking about the industry. And it had some small information that was there. We had some small machines that allowed you to do some small combustion. But at that place, it was like weaving, repetitive job, and a whole lot of jobs that are going on. That was how the first industrial revolution came. And innovation came because it had to change with the way we work. And now the second industrial revolution came. And that's where we had assembly lines that came around to be able to make sure that all these repetitive jobs, can we improve upon all these things, and it work. That change brought some certain level of transformation. The skills, the mindset, the way you would work, that was also brought. Then now it brought to the third industrial revolution, where you would see some level of automation, computing power trying to play a certain role, where Moore's law started playing a role in those things, right? So that is how it came. In that space where we also had to now look at how do we have a face-to-face with computing power, how do we train people in doing these digital skills, that transformation also came about. Then we went to the fourth industrial revolution. And at the fourth industrial revolution, we are talking about robotics, we are talking about AI, we are talking about all these things that are happening. That also brings certain kind of transformation. And today, everybody, sometimes we are scared about what is going to happen. And one of the presenters, the professor from ARC-EDS University, who the vice chancellor spoke about, that there's going to be a translation of jobs that are going to happen. But even that, still people are worried about whatever is going on. And he advocated that for the kind of skill that are needed to be put in place to ensure that we are prepared for this fourth industrial revolution. But we have moved away from this fourth industrial revolution, which we'll be talking about. So now this fourth industrial revolution, these are great services and also that are going on. Who are the one who produces these skills? Right? So the skills that I've been talking about from the first to the fourth industrial revolution, there is the party that presents that. That's what academia plays a role in. Because what the university does is to be able to enable you to transfer the skill that you might not have known. Because for me, I was taught how to use Microsoft Word when I was doing my first degree in computer science. But today, we don't teach that anymore. It is expected that it's inherent in whatever we do. That is the kind of skill. So now, it has been assumed that based on the skill that have been taught me, I will be able to transfer it in other things. That is how it is. So now, academia must see some of these things. That how do we make sure that we move, while there are revolutions going on, are they prepared to teach the kind of skill that I needed for the industry? So that's for this. You can go this time. So we're excited about certain partnership that we've done. So in our company, over the years, we believe that because academia produces the kind of skill, the kind of human capital that we need, partnership with universities are done. So we're excited to see that some 2 or 3 weeks ago, we partnered with ARC-EDS University where we signed an MOU to see how best do we now do that partnership. I think the Vice Chancellor spoke about some of the MOUs that they have signed, over 30 MOUs that I got. We are one of the companies that have done that. And we are focusing on the fifth industrial revolution. And that is what the partnership with ARC-EDS University is going to do for us. We have started the first phase, and now the phase that will allow us to propel to the next phase, where we are trying to make sure that Africa will take care of its own research in terms of the AI democratization. That is the reason why we had that partnership, to ensure that we would co-work with them, improve on the research, and work with the students to ensure that it brings us to the next level. So that is what we are trying to do. So what is this fifth industrial revolution? The fifth industrial revolution is the collaboration between robots and human beings. That is where the world is on today. So now, the new skill that has to be trained is on the trainership of how does it collaborate between robots and human beings. And that is what we want. And we at our company, we have tried to set the base. But it would be very nice for the universities or research institutes to take care of that one. That is where we are today. Now, in doing this, there's a core foundation of whatever we want. Whether we like it or not, this is what is transforming the world. No matter what, there's analytics, there is automation, there are things that are happening. So it means that we need to prepare ourselves in our curriculum or in our research to have something like that. This is a Venn diagram that represents how AI or fifth industrial revolution is penetrating in everything that we do. So at the core of it, we have data science. And data science, I keep telling people that it is not one person. It's not a human being. It is a team of people that brings these things together. And how do we get that? So at the far outer, we have computer science, which is the core of everything that happens, because today it is changing the world, right? From the year 2000, computer science is changing, technology is changing everything that we do. And we have math and statistics, which is core in everything that we do. And we have the domain area, whether you're a medical doctor, you're a nurse, or you are a farmer, or you're into agribusiness, you're into trade, you're into any of these things. It is your domain expertise, or you're a lawyer and all those ones. These are the domain expertise. So coupled with all these things, when you combine computer science and domain expertise, you want to be able to use computer skill to automate your place. So for example, if I'm an accountant, I'll use Excel sheet to be able to do all these things. It's computing, combine your soft skill and your domain area to be able to do certain things. That has been cutting across. Now, if I want to be able to do some research, maybe using SPSS and all those ones, you use your mathematics and statistics in your domain area to do any form of research that you are doing. That's where it is going. When we now look computer science and mathematics, that's where the machine learning is. And what is machine learning? It's using there are several algorithms that work there that allows you to be able to perform certain kind of tasks. And what is an algorithm? A series of steps to performing those kind of tasks. Can you go back a bit? A series of steps to perform those kind of tasks is what an algorithm is talking about. So now, at the core of it is what the data science is. And we are saying that in the fifth industrial revolution, this is very core in everything we do. Whether you're a doctor, you're a pharmacist, you're a scientist, you would need that in your skill. So how do the universities play a role in that one? There are certain things I would want to say here. So we can go to the next slide. So we need to see how to look at, there's a new way of seeing things. You have to learn, you have to unlearn, and you have to relearn. So to learn means that there are new skills that you have to be able to come across with that. There are some things that also you might have to unlearn them, and there are things that you have to relearn. So that's the new thinking that we want to go about. Now my proposal, what do we need from government, from that partnership? We are saying that government, our proposal through the Ministry of Education or Environmental, everyone who is TVET and all that, our proposal is that computer science or technology should be the core of everything that we do. That's our first proposal. For example, I picked this note, 2024, and it's BEC and SSE. So BEC is what we write, basic education, when you want our basic education in Ghana here. And it's saying that, you can't see clearly there, it's saying that the mandatory courses are any other courses that are happening there, and we have elective courses. But when it came to the optional courses, it says that it is French, Arabic, and computing. I think it's an error there with a new wave that is going on. That's what I try to do along my speed, to realize that, look, no matter what, computing is it's supposed to be core on everything, but it's optional. So those schools who are offering, if they are not offering maybe computing, they don't allow them to take an exam in that, even though you might be doing it in basic school. This is an error. So our proposal is that government should change. It cannot be an optional course. It should be part of the mandatory course, just like you do English, mathematics. This is our first proposal. That's what we are asking the government to do. The second thing we are asking government to do is to also create a policy framework. From an AGI perspective, we put pressure on helping government to be able to draft the right policy. We are saying that the right policy framework should be created to incentivize industry like us to make sure that there's a reason why we are doing this. For example, we got MasterCard, we got GIZ to fund certain things that we are doing. So it enabled us to hire a number of students. So for us to be able to build our first AI platform, for the past 3 years, every year we pick over 1,200 students to label our AI, our data. And that was a manual job that needed to have been done. There is no one who builds the right AI and goes to use another person's model and another person's data to be able to work on that. You have to start from the scratch. If you want to be able to go and borrow and inherit other people's model, it means you are inheriting their problems, their challenges, their biases. We have to be able to build it in our own way. That's how we went there. But we're incentivized by a donor organization to be able to do that, and they were giving them transportation so we could focus on our research that we're doing. So that's the framework we are asking government to do. And the next one is to be able to make sure that I was happy to hear that there's already a fund that is allowed them to, so the government has already started that. So that was my first proposal. So if we look at the secondary school too as well, please go back. For the computer science, you realize that it was an elective, those doing ICT. You don't write it as a core subject. So you choose and go and do that. So it means that there's a sector, maybe about 25% or 30% of people who might not have written the exams, even though they might have done these things. In China, recently, it has been made compulsory that in kindergarten, they are starting to learn about AI. And it is compulsory. This is where we need to be able to get to. Luckily for us, our universities have made it core, because I interviewed a number of universities before even having this call to confirm. In Ashesi University, it is compulsory to do intro to computing, where you are taught about all levels. Other universities are also doing some other courses where it is there. So the universities are doing very well. But the basic schools and the secondary schools, this is my first proposal. Then now when you get to my second, you can go to the next slide. So in the industry, on the industry side, so from the industry, my proposal is that the curriculums that we do in the university, it has to be co-created with industry. Because from an industry, we know what we want. We are going to employ the people that we are working with. So it would be nice to be able to have a co-creation. In Ashesi, when I'm lecturing, it is never possible that I'll build my curriculum without even giving it to my colleagues in the office or my friends who are also teaching these kind of courses, to ensure that the course that I'm going to teach is exactly what is needed. And I also bring my practical expertise in the classroom. That has helped in what we do. So my proposal is that industry should avail themselves, and also the academia should also avail themselves to ensure that these curriculum are co-created. Most of the time, they see that as a ticking box. They will say, okay, we are a partner with industry to be able to do that. The AGI will be invited, but we just come and sit down, we do that, they'll take the boxes, and that's all. But we are saying that we should be intentional in making sure that this is actually the case. And before they are graded, or when students are being about to do their capstone or their project work, industry should be invited to ensure that are they doing whatever is needed. So that's one of the proposals that I'm asking for. And also, industry should be ready to accept apprenticeship. Our organization, for the past 3 years, we've been welcoming students to ensure that we work with them. And most of our students, we've been giving them scholarship. One of my colleagues, who is my head of product here, I met him right, he finished secondary school, university, and he's been with us up to now. He's gone through a lot of apprenticeship today, and today he's been meeting and producing a lot of products. So that's what we have to do. And we also offer scholarship in our area, because when industry also offers scholarships, it entices most of the students to be able to come and do some internship at your place. Now, lastly, I'll talk about academia. Academia, which we've already spoken about, that balance between making sure that the proper partnership is done with the industry is very important, and also collaboration and making sure that hands-on. Inviting industry to be part of guest lecturing is an important model, like having conferences that would allow students to spend 1.5 hours with an industry expert to lecture whatever they've been, a day in the life of a certain career. It's a very important thing for students. It motivates them. It allows them to be able to come in industry to be able to do that. We can go to the next slide. Today, this is the impact that has happened with what we've done. These 3 things are the things that from our industry we have been working on. Today, we've built a tool called Kedeba. It's an ERP system. We had our first partnership with the University of Cape Coast to ensure with their business school. And for the past 4 years, all we did was to build an ERP for the Ghanaian market, because most of the ERPs that we invited were QuickBooks, Tally, Odoo, Zoho, SAP, very expensive. Sometimes those that are not expensive, the support was very difficult. And our tax regime and the way it works was a bit difficult. So we worked with University of Cape Coast, influenced their curriculum, and make sure that we brought the tool to teach them in the way that they wanted. We gave them our tools to be able to see how do we improve it. And today we have built a new ERP, which is used by most industries in Ghana. It was done by students. Again, one of the things that we have done was to build our Nwolley AI. Nwolley AI is a replica of ChatGPT, and it's so smarter locally than ChatGPT and Claude and all those ones. We have tested it. It's used by Bank of Ghana, it's used by KPMG, it's used by most of the banks, and we are doing most of the banks are now moving, which I will not mention their names now. That is the new AI that has been built. It is automated, you do drag and drop, and it does the job for you. Even in this conference, what Nwolley would have done is that it would have interpreted all the conversation that we have done, written the article, brought the key highlight, those who do not speak English, translated it in their language and sent it to them. When there's a coffee break, it would have understood that. These were done by students over the number of years. It was not done only by us. It was because of a partnership. So my proposal is that when there is a partnership between academia, private sector, and industry, these are some of the things that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stefan Nwolley. And we'll just take quick questions, perhaps from some of you. And if anybody has any question in relation to the presentation he's done for us, we'll start from Dr. Klugerson, who has a quick question.
My question is very big and very simple. When would it be on Ghana and New York Stock Exchange?
Any more for Dr. Stefan? Yes, there's another one. You note them down for me so that we can do that quickly.
Thank you very much. My name is Isaac from Onbad Finance. We are an private equity firm. You've said everything, and we are really inspired. You didn't tell us about your story. So if you probably can tell us, in brief, your story so we can also follow. Thank you very much.
Any more before we allow him answer? There's one up here as well. Then there's another there. So let me take you and then perhaps, I didn't ask the others to introduce themselves, but perhaps you start for us.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. So my name is Derek, and I'm a research assistant from KNUST. I would like to know what the constraints are regarding training and implementing your AI models, knowing how robust and how intensive they are with the environmental sustainability issues and all that. How do you manage all that in training the systems and implementing them? And what other constraints are involved in terms of funding, in terms of, let me say, political opposition and our regime here that does not really tolerate or encourage innovation? How do you manage all that? Thank you.
And then the last one from the far end.
So thank you so much for your insightful talk. I had a brief question, or maybe I should introduce myself. I'm Price McCarthy. I'm from FLIV Ghana and also the operations lead at KFP Associates Limited. So I had a quick question when it comes to making computer science education mandatory as part of basic and high school education. My primary concern being, how are we trying to make this form of education inclusive for people with disabilities, especially introducing it into school systems that are a bit divergent from the traditional Ghanaian educational system. So schools for, let's say, for example, school for the blind. How do you make ICT education mandatory, not an elective, and still get the student body to be able to participate in a manner that is very accessible? Thank you.
So my mentor has asked, when will I be on the stock? I'll need advice from you on how to be there, and I'll be coming to you so that you guide me as to go there. But what we have tried to do at Npontu is that we want to be focused on ensuring that the problem that we have identified, we will do everything possible with all our might through the help of God to make sure that we can solve it. But in the event we fail, we believe that we'll get another job, and the job will become a motivational speaker to let people know how not to start with this thing. That has been our focus for now, right? That's what we're trying to do. But along the way, we've had several partners who have supported our industry, who have mentored us to ensure that they will guide us to where we had to go. And these conversations of trying to be on the stock exchange has been conversation that has done. Right from the start, we had a strong board. So I had a board right from the time we started. It was very difficult, but today we believe that it is the board's direction that has brought us to where we are. I'm sure that time would come, but I'll come to you so that you guide us on this conversation. For the second one, the story, it might not end now. So what I would say is that we can keep in touch and we'll tell that story. And the reason why we cannot say it much now, we think that we've not arrived where we have to be. And if you go and say it, what we can say is that God has been good to us. Does it help? So we can, it's going to be a long story, right? So I want us to be able to push that. But I think that our conversation has been a true story from where we had people that we mentored us from the board point of view. And we also took our time to listen. And me, I listen to instruction. And I'm focused. And I'm dedicated. And I don't allow anything to be able to distract me. I understand. It was mentors who asked me to go and do my PhD. And I listen to that one. And the people that I'm working with are young people, and I'm the oldest, and I inspire them. So anything that I tell them, so far as it's right, they're able to do that one. And we don't make it, when we make a mistake, we see ourselves like children who are falling, because money is not our focus. And we have never tried to realize, okay, today I was telling one of my team members that, look, we should not allow money to drive us. So immediately I finished University of Cape Coast, I was the best student there, right? And the professor, I got the award, and the professor told me that I want you to focus and pay attention and make sure that you do that one. So he got me the job at MTN, told me to sit down and sit under apprenticeship. I stayed in MTN for 9 years. When people were leaving, I applied. People were, at some point, I thought God didn't even like me. But these were the areas of apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is very important for that one. So it gave me opportunity to be able to learn, even though they were difficult bosses, working with Indian, Chinese, Lebanese, very difficult. But they are the best people who trained me to where I've become right now. So now that I have listened, it is easy for me to listen, and it allows me to be able to impact. So it's the issue of listening. But the story of Npontu, I think that we can discuss that later. Sorry about this. But we have never taken a loan before. That's what I tell people. We've gotten Jaro to approach us that, look, I want you to give me shares. I want to be able to buy shares in that. But we tell them we don't want that. Come and sit on our board and direct us and help us to acquire customers so that when we get repeat business and they don't come back. Because we are not in a hurry to make money. We are focusing on what we have to do. That's what has been guiding us. So on your story of how do we train the model? So the very first thing we did was supervised fine-tuning. And we understand that when you have a data, if it says that I am coming in Ghana, it means that the person might be late. How do you train a model to understand those nuances? How do you know that, oh, I'll be there in about 30 minutes? How do you train the model to know that this person, he'll be there in 1.5 hours? Those are not models that would exist in Europe. I was in the US for a program. Recently, the United States invited me to come and share on how we did an algorithm, right? And when I got there, one of our team members were late for just 5 minutes. And the ambassador was furious. And everybody was, look, it was a big thing. And they say it was a sign of disrespect. But for us as Africans, but just 5 minutes, how you do it? My algorithm understands this thing. So we needed to be able to do this. We needed people like you who would come and pick enough data where we did supervised fine-tuning, where this human being will read this. Based on 10 instructions that you have given, how many times were you successful? It does a statistical average and realize that this is your average time. So this is what it means. So we labeled it one by one, one by one. When we did that over a period of time, we allowed the algorithm to work on its own. When it decayed and it had issue, we did reinforced learning. And what is reinforced learning? Reinforced learning is learning where when you do the right thing, you reward the person. When you do the wrong thing, you how do you call it? When you do the wrong thing, you penalize. When you do the right thing. So we did reinforced learning to get our model to where it is. So it is data that belongs to us, that was created by us, that is for us, that we are using to work on these things. Luckily, there are some open sources that exist. In the event where we do not have computing power, we rely on some of the open source models, but localize the context to ensure that it does that. Doesn't make sense to you? So there were last question in terms of inclusive, making computer science inclusive. Last year, by the grace of God, we got a $4 million contract from the World Bank to help the Ministry of Education to digitize their process using the power of AI. This is the problem the Ministry of Education wanted to solve. So they are saying that as kids, right? As kids, when you're in the classroom and they ask you 2x plus 4 is equals to 5, solve the equation, about 90% of the class might have understood the process they have explained. The 10% would not understand it. And now, luckily, the teacher would ask, do you understand the process? And when the teacher says, do you understand the process? These 10% might say no. The teacher will go over the process again and will teach with another method. And they'll ask, do you understand? Maybe 5% will understand. But the 5% who did not understand might be shy to say they did not understand. When they ask, do you understand? They might be shy. If they don't raise their hand, the teacher continues to go throughout. We are saying that knowledge that was lost, it creates a blockade. So the next time, because education is a building block, the next time they are teaching a new concept, because you did not understand this concept, it creates a problem. So we wanted to use AI to resolve this problem. And as part of this resolution, how can you allow AI, which will have different ways of teaching? Because even if you pick a teacher, you might have only 5 or 6 ways to do that one. But AI can have a complex way of doing that. So now when you go home, those who did not understand, you can come and interact with the AI and say, I did not understand this concept. It will teach you. You can say as many times that you did not understand. It will find various ways to do it. Break it down to even a 2-year level. If you're able to understand now, the AI would understand how you reason. And it knows that this is how you reason. Anytime you are being taught a new model, the AI has profiled you and will be teaching you in that model. And every time you think that you're a bright student. That is why sometimes we are saying that when I was in primary, I wasn't a good student. I was an average student. Secondary, I was an average student. It was the secondary last term, and the university that I became a very good student. Because there were new teachers that I found, new ways of teaching or realization. But there are people who were also good from the beginning and later did not become good. Maybe it might be a fault of the teaching style and those ones. That was what AI was used to resolve. But as part of this one, we realized that there were people who were with disability. How do they take advantage of this technology? Technology allows that. So you can, when you are using technology, even you have your classroom in Ashesi, you cannot come in Ashesi. This will not be allowed because it's assumed that people might be disabled. So you have to make it very friendly. Technology is the same thing. So those who are blind, those who cannot hear, with our AI, you can speak with it. With this thing, it was implemented that, look, instead of if you are blind, just speak to it. It will respond to you. That is how it was taking care of it. Those who cannot they cannot see. The keyboard has to be put in place that it will consider all this one. One of the best computer scientists that you find in Ghana was Farida, right? We all know that, right? She was one of the people who mentored us. She's disabled. And every time she talks about the story, she was one of the best programmers, and she has a company of her own. So these things would not affect that, right? So it has to start somewhere, because whether we like it or not, we are in the 5th industrial revolution, and we are proposing that this is what's supposed to be done. Thank you very much.
We'll just take quick questions because we have an online participation as well. So if the team could just project quickly some questions, you answer them briefly for us. This one from Henriette Mbia Banker says that, have we got educator capability and capacity in our education systems from primary to higher education to deliver the ambitions as outlined? Any more or just this one? Just this one, all right. So answer that for us quickly.
Yeah, so good news. The government is training 1 million coders, and as part of this is to be able to help educators to train them, trainers of trainers. So that is also in the pipeline. So that's the good news what government is trying to do.
Let's put our hands together for Doc as he, thank you very much. Dr. Stephen Nwolley is the CEO of Npontu Technologies, and for bringing us this presentation on reimagining the education to work pathway